Yeah, as it has been already presented, I'll take this opportunity to try to talk to you about gender equality. Well, there are a couple of things which comes to our mind when we think of gender equality. Votes for women, employment for women, education for women, equal pay for women. These are all areas at the forefront of our public lives. School, work, politics. But gender equality, or rather inequality, is not only a public issue. Today, I'm going to use this opportunity to talk to you about a very small and also supposedly private space that we call home, and gender equality which happens at home. I will try to introduce you the concept of double burden, or at times used by Arlie Hochschild as the second shift. Double burden or second shift, which we can use interchangeably, simply stands for the fact that although we have fully employed women today who goes outside of the house, works for an 8-hour shift, sometimes 10 hours of shift, earns her own bread, comes back home and finds a second shift waiting for her. She has to do the cooking, she has to do the cleaning, take care of the children, take care of the elderly. So you can imagine what kind of effects this might have, because it's about the women's time that she has to spend on these activities. And this means that she is falling behind compared to men in participating in other areas of life. She finds it difficult to create time for politics, for socialization, perhaps for personal training, in order to have a professional development, a personal development. And this is why we have gender inequality created in the house, which also has an effect outside of the house. To give you some examples, women are more often asked than men at job interviews whether they're married, whether they have any children, or if they don't have any children, they're asked whether they're planning on having one. Because women with children or women with family responsibilities usually tend to miss executive meetings. They find it difficult to prepare their presentations that they're going to present in the meeting the next day. They have to take leave out of work if their kid gets sick. She has to run to take her children to the birthday parties that she has to attend, or to the doctor's appointment. And while doing all this stuff, her husband is at his office continuing to work and climbing the ladder of career. So today, I will try to give you a couple of strategies to defeat this problem. But before that, I want to illustrate the problem with more statistical information, because I kind of feel that numbers are better at reaching at hearts sometimes than feelings. According to the 2013 National Time Use Survey of the United States of America, 49% out of the 100% female population stated that they spend time to do housework. And when you compare it to the male population response, we see that only 19% of the male American population stated that they do housework. And I will now try to show you a graph. Well, this is the compilation of data. The data has been compiled by the OECD and has been graphicized in 2014, but you'll see that the data comes from different years and different periods. And this is the time that a woman and a man spends on a daily basis. It's in minutes. So in Canada, a woman spends 133 minutes per day on routine housework, and 44 minutes for caring of other family members. Whereas men in Canada spend only 83 minutes on housework and 21 minutes for caring. If you go a little bit of south in the geography, we come to Italy, you see that the gap has worsened. Women in Italy spend 204 minutes, whereas men only spend 57 minutes on housework. So the problem here is not only about the time and energy that we steal from women, but there's also another issue with the expectation that women have to cover all the household tasks. This is devaluing of their labor at home. So we take it for granted, so we don't really think about the economic value. But imagine that you have to hire a professional professional for each of the tasks performed at home. A professional cook, a full-time cleaner, a full-time nanny, a full-time gardener. I will now show you two separate tables showing the hours spent and how much they're worth on each task. This is the mother of two, married, still living in the same household with her husband. She covers 81% of the total household tasks. And she does cooking, washing the dishes, grocery shopping, vacuuming, babysitting, dusting, polishing. She doesn't do any general gardening because that kind of falls onto the husband, luckily. Helping with homework if she has children at schooling age, ironing, poorly family members when they're ill. This usually covers parents, especially in more traditional states where there's no benefits or working social systems where elderly care is affordable. Organizing family events and special occasions, family holidays, birthday parties, anniversaries, all the surprises, gifts should be bought, decorations should be bought, they have to be set up, the guests should be invited. Mowing lawn, also together with gardening, falls onto the husband, luckily. And recycling and emptying dustbins, her husband does that. And, well, the rates are, of course, based on UK rates, and you may have some differences in different contexts. But this is just for illustrating what the worth of a woman's job is. And it's around 22,000 per year, 22,000 pounds. And if we move to the dad, he does 19% of the total household work. So he only shares babysitting and childcare with his wife. And he does gardening on himself, mowing the lawn on himself, and recycling and emptying dustbins on himself. His worth is £5,000. So we actually have household labor, which is worth £27,000 per year, and £22,000 is covered by the women. And this is the pie chart to make it more dramatic. So I think we all begin to understand what the problem is. So now we move to the question, how do we tackle this issue? Obviously, there are a lot of studies and strategies that you can find out in the public information pool. I will only offer you two strategies which I find to be very important. One is related within the house, so that is something that you can do inside your household. And the other one is a bit more political. But I think combining these two would really make a change. The first one is, of course, about sharing the household tasks on a fair basis. So you have to make a contract, if you may say, with your family members that you share your house with. And it is also important to de-gender the household tasks. So we try to set good role models for our children. We share the tasks with our partners that we share our house with, but we also make sure that we rotate the roles. So cooking should not always stick with mother, whereas the garbage sticks with the father. Because it's also important to teach our children that anyone can do any of the tasks. The reason why women are thought to be good in housework is not because it's natural. It's because they're taught to do that. When you compare a 30-year-old woman and a 30-year-old man, of course she would be better in cooking because she's doing it for the past 20 years. Her mother taught her to cook at the age of 10, whereas she did not do the same thing for her son. So you cannot expect a 30-year-old man to have the same level of cooking if he hasn't done it before. So that's why it's important to share it among ourselves, but also pass the responsibilities onto our children, obviously appropriate towards their age and physical capacity. But it is important that they learn they can do anything related to the home. And obviously it's their home, they live in there, so they have to actually take up these responsibilities. The second strategy, or a rather political request that I think we all should be making, is about parental leave, or rather paternity leave. We are all familiar with maternity leave. When a pregnant woman gives birth, she takes time off from work, it's usually covered with social insurance, so she still gets paid, she doesn't lose her job, she spends, well, I don't know, it depends from country to country. In one country, it may be up to a year, in some countries it's 6 months, 2 months, it depends on the legislative order in that country. However, men do not have that opportunity. And when I say paternity leave, I'm not talking about 3 days or a 1 week leave, which is usually the case in a lot of countries, including ours. I am talking about a comparable time, which will be perhaps equal to what is available to the women. And I'm going to tell you what we can achieve with this. It may sound very simple, like paternity leave, why not? We achieve 3 things. First, you remove the comparative advantage that men has in the labor market. So the employer stops asking the woman whether she's married or whether she's married with children or not. Because that is not the women's problem only. It has become the men's problem as well. So there is no advantage in hiring a woman or in hiring a man. The second thing is we actually provide the opportunity to the fathers to bond with their children and learn parental skills at an earlier stage. So in 6 months' time, a father can become excellent in changing nappies or heating the milk bottle. That has nothing to do with being a woman or being a man. It's all about doing it and learning it by making mistakes, of course. Mothers do also make mistakes. And the third thing is that we provide women with the opportunity that they can continue their lives on a regular basis or more regular basis, because now they have someone else that they can share their parental responsibility with. This has been the privilege given to men so far. They don't have to worry about being a father because it does not have, mind you, I'm sparing very involved fathers. I'm not saying that fathers are not involved in their children's life, but I'm saying that the current situation does not really allow them to be as much as involved they want and puts the whole burden on women. So that is something that we want to change. I kind of sense that you think, well, it's going to take a long time, education takes a long time, so like it's going to take 20 years until my children grow up and become gender equal adults. Yes. And demanding for a legislative change also takes time. Yes. But we do it in our lives on a daily basis. We keep asking for things and we earn them now or later. So my advice to you is, instead of worrying about the time that it's going to take, we start doing it now. We go home, we make a plan, we share it with our partner and start applying it. It's going to be difficult at the beginning because you're trying to change someone's behavior, and that behavior has been around for a very, very long time. And for the politics, obviously the politicians do not always respond to you the way you want them to respond to you. But you have to be persistent. That's how rights have been gained. Women were not allowed to vote until, well, early 19th century, even, well, 20th century. They got their votes by asking for it. So now it's time to ask for household equality. Change is gradual, but it starts now.